Well, hello there, beautiful. It's Kylie Patchett here, and welcome to the Wild and Finally Pecking Free podcast. I deeply believe that the years during and beyond perimenopause are a rite of passage. All of a sudden, we find ourselves on the precipice of a life transition where our brain literally rewires and runs out of fucks to give. We find ourselves shifting identity, no longer caring what other people think, and being invited to expand into new ways of being. Here, we share the real and raw stories from women who've been through deep midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind us in patterns of staying small, stuck, and like our needs just don't matter. This is the midlife medicine you didn't even know you needed. Stories full of joy, despair, freedom, courage, and deep self-honoring. I am so glad you found us. Welcome. Welcome. I'm so excited to welcome everyone back to the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast. I feel naughty every time I say that. Anyway, that's beside the point. We are talking to the beautiful Mariska Anderson. Welcome, Mariska. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
That's good. Now, before we started, I was saying, I've wanted to make these much more conversational than my last podcast, which was very, it was very businesslike and structured and whatever. And I think that's been the journey I've been on. And we were talking about, because I said, I love people to introduce themselves instead of me doing this bio. And you said, I hate bios. And this is where I want to actually start our conversation. So how would you like to introduce yourself, not with a professional bio, and why do you hate bios?
Oh, bios. Oh, yes, good question there. I don't actually know why I hate bios, but I suspect it's because I don't want to be crammed into a box like we talked about.
Yeah.
But I think we concentrate so much on, titles for bios, and I don't live up to any titles I do have. That's how it feels a lot of the time. And then I'd like to kind of supersede them. So even, I was joking about how it would take me, hours to do an Instagram bio, but those are the kinds of ones that suit me best. Like, I like toast.
Yes.
Just because who doesn't like toast? And exactly. Someone can, that to me is the kind of bio that someone else could go, okay, you're my kind of person.
Yes.
Not because you're a doctor this or blah, blah, that, or you've written that, or you're a host of that, or the founder of this.
Yes.
I think I like connecting with people like that.
With humans, not labels. Yes.
And that's the sort of thing that I would do at a party as well. Like I'm at a party and I sometimes like very shy, but sometimes I'm like, to hell with it, like who cares? And if I'm like sort of mingling, that is one of the questions that I'd be like, so do you like toast? I mean, it's kind of
easy. It's an icebreaker question.
Yeah, it's an icebreaker, and you're making it obvious. I'm making it obvious that I'm awkward, and then they know, and it's easy.
And then you're relatable, right? Because here's the thing I feel about labels, and I have a similar, I don't know, I've had many different iterations of this feeling in me. And one of the things that we will talk about is the worthiness piece. So in my early life, and I still do it. I still said to someone the other day, I'm a forensic biologist by training. I'm like, what the fuck? You haven't been in a forensic biology lab for 20 years. Like, let it go, sister. And that comes from that deep, like, I've done something cool sounding, but like it's completely irrelevant. Like 20 years ago, like I don't even know the first thing about forensic biology. I've got beautiful friends actually in New Zealand that are still in forensic biology land. And I think, wow, that's like amazing that you're still there. But yeah, that identification piece and the like, I must be an important person. Well, no, actually not important, worthy. And this is where I want to start, because actually I'll take one step back. When you answered the call to being on the podcast, you said, I'm petrified, number one, and I just want to honor that you're here and sharing your story, because a lot of people have said that to me, and the gold that has come out of their stories has been beautiful. So honoring where you felt that you were. And also the opening line of your answers to the question was, I took a big leap, I fell in a big hole, and I've been climbing my way out. Yeah. So we open the story, act one, I feel like, getting something that you felt would create that feeling of worthiness. Can you start telling us a little bit of that story?
Yes. Well, I grew up with no idea whatsoever of like that sort of internal inherent worthiness that we all have, like just by virtue of being born.
Yes.
And I didn't grow up with any of that. You had to earn your place on this planet. And so I guess, well, looking back, I definitely did sort out opportunities to really like prove myself and show who I was. And one of those things before the thing that you're talking about was just the lab. I used to work in a lab at Stanford, and so I used to work at Stanford, and I loved working there. It was great. It was horrible after a little while, but that started me on that whole, this feels really good, because people were impressed by that. Exactly. And I was like, so I got the feeling of worth without the actual real, and the integrity of it really, but just little glimpse of it whenever anybody would say anything. And I wasn't very reflective back then, and that was like 20 years ago, by the way. So that's why I don't know why I did it. I sort of feel like I always was going to, and that might have been because of the worthiness piece, but I came back home to New Zealand from Stanford and went, right, I'm going to go get my PhD. And I got a fellowship. And so that sort of bolstered that whole ego thing, like, I'm worthy. Someone's giving me a whole bunch of money to study this terribly tedious thing that I can't believe I did. So I've trained in sustainable agriculture. So I mean, it is cool. Don't get me wrong, very cool. Just not my kind of cool. But I did the defense. So I defended. I was sitting in this room with. There might have been one other female in there, but I don't think so, actually. There's, sort of men sitting around a table judging, and I just stood and defended it. And then they'd ask me a bunch of questions, and I'd totally tripped up on the maths ones and completely forgotten the analysis that I did. So I was sitting outside of this room, like when they were deliberating, absolutely freaking it, like thinking I held this. I mean, quite honestly, I was so powerfully in that I can't believe I didn't manifest failing. Like, if we're gonna, I couldn't believe that it didn't. So, but I got dragged back into the room, and I was sitting there and thinking, oh my god, they don't know what to say. And they said, Mariska Anderson, and they just this big spiel. We'd like to welcome you into the scientific community, blah 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 blah. And I was like, yes, I'm okay. You passed me or whatever. And they're like, yeah. And I burst into tears, like, because And I thought, yes, I can't believe I did it. But as I walked out of the room, I fully expected this. I remember it like I'm there now. I fully expected this like blanket of worthiness to like settle through my cells and just sit in my gut and make me stand taller. And it didn't. And I thought, maybe it takes a while. Maybe it hasn't sunk in yet. It hasn't sunk in yet.
I love it. I'll wait. I'll wait for the worthiness.
I mean, I honestly really thought, and I didn't know it was sort of worthiness exactly. That might not have been the term I would have used at the time, but like made itness, or like I'm there now. So ridiculous. Yeah. I waited and I waited and I waited. And then I realized, okay, I can either go and get a postgrad degree now and teach and become a professor and do the thing, but I've had a miserable time and I don't feel good. I don't feel good about it at all. I think I would have been braver if I hadn't done it, if I quit. Like I would have had more self-worth maybe if I had quit. So there's definitely bits where I was like, this is just bullshit, terrible bullshit.
It's so horrible, isn't it? I've done stuff like this before, because I was only giggling when you said I could go and be a professor, because I got 3 degrees before I realized that the piece of paper wasn't going to make me feel better about myself. What? And I'm like, what the hell was I doing? And it's exactly what you said. And, one of the things that I say all the time to clients, because it's been so hard won for me, is by virtue of the simple fact you were born, you are worthy. Exactly. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to externalize it. You do not have to have a piece of paper, a fancy car, X amount of dollars in the bank account, or look like Kim Kardashian or whatever, whoever you want to.
Worship a certain person or a deity, I should say. You don't have to. Right, exactly. It's that's not something that we necessarily grow up with, and that is something that I am a little jealous of. I know that people have a lot of religious trauma, and there's unpacking, and untangling stuff there too at times. But a lot of people, that seems to be the only way that people are kind of born and taught that they are inherently worthy, or even if there's so many contingencies hanging off of it or all of that sort of stuff. Like, I just never knew. It's so stunning to me that that's
it's amazing
reality. It's so cool. You can just decide after you.
Well, but I think never ever taking anything away from our parents, but we also are, in nature and nurture. So not only do we have the genetic code that came from our parents and also inherently carries trauma through generational lines, but we also lived in the household with, whether it's parents, caregivers, whoever were your key caregivers. And if they weren't brought up knowing their worth, how the hell, unless they did a hell of a lot of healing, which is what thankfully our generation is, starting to look at themselves and taking responsibility for actually unraveling the shitty stories. How would we have had that experience? And so then I guess I don't know, in a way I feel sad about that, but in another way I'm like, this is what the whole concept of wild and finally fucking free is like. Absolutely. No one is going to come and give me any external thing that will make me feel good about myself. It is my responsibility to chip away at all the crap that I've been taught that is actually not the truth. Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Right.
And actually be free. And that's where I feel like, never ever taking away from the fact that getting a PhD is a very, it's hard one. I know. And, you're sticking your tongue out. I think the same. I found my thesis for my master's the other day, and it was some ridiculously long, the 18 paragraphs version of, with the blah, 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 and then blah, 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 blah. And I'm just
absolutely. I have a master's in immunology, and I look at that too. I'm like, why would they like that?
Yes. So what happened? So the worthiness angels did not come and bestow on you a golden halo of worthiness ripped off. No, what happens next? What do you do from there?
Right. So, well, I finished the thesis in the States with my partner Jeffrey, who's lovely, and I finished that off. And I came back here, and I graduated, and still there was no glitter or anything. So I was like, I thought, okay, well, and it wasn't so much I need to give myself this worthiness. It was, what am I going to do now? But I want to do it my way. Yes. So I was back in the States. I was on a tourist visa. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do with myself while I'm here, just sort of hanging out? Yep. I'll write a book. Uh-huh. And I knew what kind of book I wanted to write. And this is interesting for me because it's my true self, like right from when I was little, that was always frowned upon and poked at and everything by everybody else. Like I loved movies, I loved books, but I loved certain types of things with little bits and pieces in them. So I thought, right, I want to write a book where it feels like that for me all the time. So I started writing this book, and the title just kind of landed in my head, which was Olivia Jones and the Vernon Crockett Kismet Map.
Oh, that's a cool name.
And I just started writing, and I couldn't stop, and it was so exciting. Oh, my goodness, it was so exciting. And I finished that book a few years later, actually, because I thought it's not good enough, and it wasn't, by the way. When I first wrote it, it was absolute. It was... The intention was there, but it was crap.
It was a good draft. It was a good draft.
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly. It was clay, right, to be molded. There was so much, but I didn't know. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew my PhD taught me that I could write a book about the most boring thing in the world.
Yes.
So I knew that because I'd done that I could write this book.
Perfect.
But I didn't think at all that an agent would ever want it, that they would ever find it worthy. Should we continue with that? And I didn't know, and I didn't think that I could do it myself on self-publishing, because the whole, it all just seemed way too much, way too scary, and I couldn't do it. That's what I told myself. And so I thought, but I do want something, and this is the whole shortly. I do want something location independent that I can do anywhere, anytime, and I want to help people and stuff. And I stumbled across coaching.
Yes, as lots of people do.
And it was through Steve Chandler and I want to see your dog.
My dogs, I tell you. I don't even know whether the audience can hear because this microphone's actually quite good, but my dogs have been barking nonstop all day, and I'm like, far out, not on podcast day. You can bark any other time of the day, just not on podcast day. Anyway, continue.
No worries. So I thought, right, this is the thing, because I love working things out with people. I love helping people get to where they want to go. Like I used to do it with the work that I was doing with a PhD. That was the most fun thing, working with vineyard owners, like helping their mindset. I didn't even know what that was at the time.
Yes.
And so I was like full gung ho, and I got trained, and I got a website, and I got a PayPal account, and I think I'd already joined, and I think maybe this is maybe where I know you from. I don't know, but Denise Duffield Thomas, Lucky Bitch.
Yes. Lucky Bitch. I was going to say either Lucky Bitch, Money Boot Camp, or B School. That's how I know most people online.
Yeah, not B School. I was like, oh my God, I can't afford that. I want that. I can't. So, but I joined Lucky Bitch when it was like, wow, it was like maybe 800 people in the Facebook group. So amazing. So amazing. And there was so many coaches in there and so many other people. It was just, wow. And I I started off with doing purpose sessions, and that was amazing. I loved them. I loved the one-off purpose sessions. I really, 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 really tried so hard with marketing and showing up. Got to show up every day. You got to I can't even remember the lingo now, but there was so much like the coaching lingo of like, showing up, being real, and like constantly being on camera. And like, I know now that you can do it without having to do that. Absolutely. But then 2014, no, it was all like, you were like charging super high fees for like this. It just sort of went, it was huge. But I started out doing $30 one-off purpose sessions, and they were so cool, and I loved them, and I was pretty good at them, actually.
Yes, because they're your genius zone.
One-off $30 purpose sessions do not make an income there. No. So I did all the things, and I got a coach and I raised prices, and I did longer term stuff and blah, blah, blah. I now know I should have hired people. So I was, just struggling constantly, and then also struggling, but trying to drop the struggle, get off the struggle bus, and hustling, but don't hustle, like chillpreneur, laid back, yada, yada, all of that. Like I was sort of stuck between all of that, and I just kept falling and falling. So the big leap was like, ta-da, I'm coaching people, I'm trained. And there was that whole thing, leap and was your wings, what is it?
Find your wings on the way down.
Your wings. Yeah. Well, mine did not. They didn't. And I really thought they would. Every time I spent money on a coach, every time I spent money on any of the, like trying to figure anything out. And I don't mean just the $97 PDFs. I mean like proper full-on big investment coaching. And funnily enough, paying somebody else money doesn't automatically make you money. Really annoying, actually.
As much as those coaches want you to believe.
But it will.
Yeah. Apparently, investment banking is probably what I should have been doing with it, because that's the only, you're not going to get an immediate, So I just couldn't do the things that they said to do. And they didn't, when I did, they didn't work for me anyway. And I just felt like a fraud the entire time. And it went on and on and on and on to a point where I wasn't so bad, actually. It was like $25,000 in debt, which is not that terrible. I mean, it's whatever. But I was also sick. I gotten sick. My heart had inflammation, not proper full myocarditis or anything like that, but just that I had inflammation throughout my entire system. And it wasn't good. And I was just constantly exhausted, and I didn't know what was wrong, and I was just burnt out, completely burnt out.
Yeah.
And the pit that I ended up in was I had no other way of getting out of that $25,000 worth of debt. I had no way of crawling out of that, like bit by bit, because I was so burned out I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go and get a job. I couldn't do anything. I was just like, doctors are saying, you've just got to stop. You've just got to rest. So I ended up having to do it's like a mini bankruptcy in New Zealand, a no asset procedure, because I'd sold everything. And that was my low point, where I was like, you can't do this. And it wasn't like, you can't do this, you're wonderfully worthy or whatever. I had tried, I knew through coaching, it's taught me some lovely things, taught me some wonderful things. I knew that I inherently was worthy, but I still didn't feel it. Even with RTT, I was a trained transformational coach person, whatever, and all of the Reiki and bits and pieces that I'd had, and all the different things and modalities and stuff that I had tried, and I didn't feel it. I still didn't feel it. And so and that was 5 years of it. It was 2019 that happened. 5 years of banging my head against the brick wall and just trying. I fully crashed, and I had to just build everything back up in a whole new way after that, because that was the pit. And I wouldn't say it was eternal despair. And the only reason why is because I remember J.K. Rowling's quote of rock bottom became the foundation that I built the rest of my cool, I'm there.
Yes.
Now what?
So what now? And this is what
I want to reflect back to you, because all I'm hearing is not someone, because I really, really want to bring this to people's awareness that are listening. This is not a journey of failing. It's a journey of finding out what environments and external attachments did not provide you with what you are seeking. That's
and
it.
Nothing does. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe something in nature, but then you're part of it and you're reflected in it, and it's, maybe then.
Yeah, exactly.
But an awareness of your inherent worthiness, it was not, something that I felt. And I still probably thought at that point that there needed to be some grand moment or, a switch that got flicked, but I couldn't find it for love nor money. Something like, how do I know this, I believe it, I see it in everybody else. Where's mine? How do I feel that? How do I know that? Like right in here. And I realized I sort of, through doing what I really wanted to do, which was write my book or write any book or start writing or just be a writer.
Create.
And it was, young adult fiction. So it's the J.K. Rowling. That's my thing, I guess. But it was only through writing this book, I've got it in front of me, that's all. So I keep pointing at it. It's like one of my copies. Only through writing it have I realized that all of the threads and things that I enjoyed as a child are woven through this book. And none of those things came to me because I had a qualification or an experience other than just being who I was. And then I realized, just kidding, I might get choked up. But it's a huge thing to realize then that the bits and pieces that made me who I am are exactly how I'm creating these stories, this series. And then that just made me go, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be doing then. And I've just been doing that, but I'm not, there's no bestseller or anything yet. But that's been a massive process in and of itself as well, a huge learning experience. But that main thing was, I've created something that has nothing to do with any of the things that I have learned. It's got, I'm sure, bits and pieces of it are in there just because they're part of who I am, but none of the things that I absolutely love, like the little things a character will say or where they are or how they interact or any of that bits that make me go, ooh, I know what's going to happen, or any of that. Like, none of that has come through a qualification that somebody else bestowed on me. It's all come through me learning how to express the stuff that I felt as a kid watching Indiana Jones. Like, that's it. That is literally it. And I'm like, well, then that's all I need.
Yeah. This is the magic of, because I
really, really relate to what you were talking about in the coaching industry back in those times, where the shared wisdom, and I'm air quoting the crap out of that, shared wisdom was you have to do it in a particular way.
Right.
You have to be on all the time. You must write a blog post 3 times a week. You must post on social media at least 4 times a day, bloody, 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 bloody,
blah. You've got to show up and be vulnerable.
You've got to show up and be vulnerable, and you've got to, and I'm like, that is fantastic for about 1% of the people that are naturally wanting to share at that level, that frequency, that whatever. But it doesn't speak to anyone else's preferences, quirks, loves. And my big thing that I'm trying on for size in this version of my business is my joy is enough. Like, that is the only business plan I need. There is no plan. Let's be honest. There's no plan. The fact that you were literally like wriggling your body when you were saying, all the little bits and pieces and what that character would say and what would happen next. And I know that's your soul wagging its tail. And that's what we are meant to be following. And yet we've been positioned in environments, through conditioning, through whatever, and especially in academia, there's definitely, very, and then, I've just come out of, being a corporate clone for the last 5 years. So similar sort of thing, like there's expectations of who you should be and how polished you should be. And God forbid you don't swear and you can't do that and you can't do this and whatever.
Yeah.
All these environments that don't fit us, that disconnect us from the things that make our soul feel like it's wagging its tail. And I keep on coming back to this feeling I've always had that we're like, there's this collective group of humans on the planet at the moment, and we all form this beautiful little energetic matrix, wraps around the world, goes out into the ether, however you want to. I'm waving my hands around. I know no one can see this, but it's very dramatic. It's very Italian hands.
Right. Yes.
I've got no Italian at all. But anyway, that's fine. But my point is that when we are trying to fit ourselves in environments that don't nourish us and in ways of being that don't nourish us, what we are inviting is unfortunately burnout, because our body cannot sustain that environment. But also we're leaving holes in the matrix of what we're actually meant to be doing, because you were born with a gift inside of you, multiple gifts inside of you. And your job is just to deliver them.
Yep, totally.
But we're taught that it has to be more complicated than that. You need to do it in a particular way, or you need to, whatever. And I think the gold in what you're sharing is, yes, none of what went into that book is from the pieces of paper, but there's also, I'm looking at your journey going, there is still a beautiful unfolding of, like you said, writing a PhD taught me that I could write something.
Right.
Like it gave you evidence, right? Yes,
Yep.
You don't want to write that dry scientific shit, and you want to write beautiful stuff that you are now writing, but it did tell you something. And even the coaching experience, it's like, yeah, I liked
Absolutely.
one little bit of it, but I didn't like having to be on in the way that I was being taught I had to be on. So it's just not the right environment.
Right.
And every single bit of that informs, it's like nudge, 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 nudge. Your body was talking to you, maybe you didn't listen. Your body starts talking to you in bigger and bigger ways. And that's where burnout comes from. Can I ask, when you were in the stage where you could not do anything, like your physical body was like, time out, Mariska, this is bullshit, I'm not doing this anymore?
Yep. I was in hospital for a little while, and all I could do was lay there just going, well, actually I wasn't in hospital, just on and off. It wasn't actually, it was just like a couple of days here and there, and then convalescence.
But still, like, I consistently, unable to be sustainable health-wise. Can you talk to us about the process? Because the word that's coming to my mind is surrender. Like, you've got nothing else you can do. You've got to surrender. Was that an easy process when you got to that stage, or did you still fight, like, I've got to do this, I've got to, like, whatever?
I fought it for a long time. I may still be fighting it a little bit, I guess, because there is a huge, that's where you, I guess, it would be really obvious that your inherent worthiness is, but I only know that now, like, so I sometimes feel like I am, and then I pull myself back out of it. I still have all the stories. I still have lots and lots of stories. I know, but I know those stories now.
Yeah, I see you.
Yes. You. I don't know if I did surrender, like laying there and just like letting it wash over me. There was never a feeling of release. And I would have expected a feeling of release with surrender, of like, but I have done that multiple times since, over and over, because it doesn't stay that way for very long.
No, exactly.
Reels back in and tightens it all back up.
This is so perfect we're having this
conversation, because it's continuing on. I know these podcasts won't come out in the order necessarily that I do them, but it's so funny how there's these threads that turn up. To me, I know when I'm expanding, right, when I'm right at the edge of something, that feels possible versus feels, that's a bit, I don't know about that. The fear comes. That's how I know I'm at the edge of my expansion zone, because the fear. But now, like you say, I know the story, but I also go, hello, fear, my old friend. This is getting a little bit tiresome. I call my fear brain my lizard brain. I call him Brian. And I'm like, Brian, dude, please, can you just take a seat in the beanbag, have a cup of tea, have a beer if you need to. I don't care. Just let me trust myself.
Yes.
Like, I know you're trying to keep me safe. And I think, that a fear is a very good emotion for us to have.
Yeah.
It's not very helpful when we're trying to live the life that we're meant to be leading. So anyway, and And so I'm honoring the fact that you're saying like surrender and then things get tight and tense again, surrender and then things get tight and tense again. Well, I feel like that is such an important thing for people to understand, that we're not talking about, you dug yourself out of this hole and everything is sunshine and light and rainbows and unicorns. The universe is always in balance. You are going to expand, and then the natural opposite is contraction. Yes. And so we get to be in charge of how much we allow ourselves to pull back, and we get to be the decider about the new stories, and we get to, create new reality. But it's not like waving a magic wand, right? Like, let's be honest about this. Like,
isn't it?
Yeah. I've just started working with a personal trainer again, and I feel like it's that muscle building, isn't it? It's like, challenge again.
Funny because you said magic wand and I've got one, so.
Of course you do. Oh my goodness.
It's right there. I'm going to do it.
It's so cool. I need to get another photo with you with your magic wand. Oh my goodness. Okay.
The image that came to me when you were talking about the digging out of the hole is you come out on top of the basic hole, and then it literally feels like you've suddenly had a pair of skis strapped here and there's moguls. Mm-hmm. Like you're just and
up, down.
Yeah, and it's just you've got to relax. Actually, that's a good analogy for me. I need to remember that. You got to relax and just go with the flow a bit. But also, I'm finding I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I've taken off. I'm going, and then there's like a smooth bit, and I've just sort of stopped. And I've got to like, come on, and that happens on and off, and that's when I know I need to surrender and relax. But the word probably that I would use is let go.
And letting go, like that's something
that I think that's my growth edge at the moment, is to step into choosing a story of like following my joy in business is more than enough. Like I literally don't have a business plan. I just gave up a perfectly good corporate job because I knew that I was bleeding myself dry, and I was heading towards burnout. I wasn't there, but I've gone there many times before in my life, and I'm just like, I'm not available for that anymore. I won't do that to myself. And I know that in my heart of hearts, one of my gifts is helping women to question the beliefs they have about themselves so that they can create different realities. It's enough, follow the things that feel light for me, and that feels deeply terrifying and deeply freeing all at the same time. Yeah, like that's the balance, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, because when you were writing the answers to these questions, you were talking about the concept of rewilding. So what does that mean for you? Because that wild is such a strong word for me, like wild and free. I actually have never told this story, but I don't think you can see back there. But anyway, back there on my little altar, I have a picture of a woman on a motorbike with a leather jacket on that I saw on Instagram, and it's actually called the Wild and Free jacket. And I fell in love with this jacket. Anyway, I found one, so I now have one. We've just bought a motorbike a year ago. The feeling I get on the back of a motorbike is like complete joy. Like if I always say, I shouldn't keep on putting this out there, but I always say, like, if I died on the back of a motorbike, I'd be perfectly happy. Like that is like, that's my favorite place to be in the world. Like I love it.
I love it. It happened for many, many years. Thank you very much.
Delete. I'm not ordering that. Thank you very much, universe. But the concept of wild and free to me is that like breaking the stories, breaking the conditioning, breaking the feeling that worthiness comes from outside of us. So what does rewilding mean to you, and how is it unfolding at the moment?
So it means, that's a really good question. Rewilding means to me that I get to be supported doing what I want, even if it's hard, even when I'm sitting in front of a computer all day and it's beautiful outside, I'm still doing what feels like me.
Yeah.
Like I love being outside. I love being on a motorbike as well. I love all of that. And there's so much, like, I'd love to get back into travel and like go to all the places that I write about in my books actually, and that would be fantastic. But the one thing that I'm accepting, allowing, bringing in, like letting settle, I guess, is one of the ways that I really feel it, is that this book I'm doing myself. I have self-published it. I did do the agent thing for a bit, but I realized that it felt the same. So I was seeking somebody else's approval. And I can learn the stuff or pay other people or do things, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like it's important to me to not be part of an institution other than my own. And every single day I intend to make decisions for myself based wholly in myself. And so it's like one of my coaching programs used to be called Unfurl. So this is so funny, it's come out of my mouth. It's like an unfurling rewilding, where it's slowly being rolled out as I stretch and push and allow it. But it is a conscious decision. It's not something that just comes easily by any stretch. It's something that I've got to decide in every moment.
Yeah, because it's foreign, right? We're not taught that
we can have the agency that is required to actually live a life that's literally by our design.
Right.
So I, deeply honor your allergy to institutions, like literally, because I feel like that's part of my journey as well. Is like saying no, those rules don't apply to me. Here's mine. Again and again and again and again and again. Deeply uncomfortable because it's it pushes all the way up against our stories of what it takes to be like a good person, a good woman, how will other people think of me? Like any of the, the old tried and true trinity of doubts and fears that are the biggies, which is unloved, don't belong, not good enough. Like, the holy trinity of shit stories.
Holy trinity of fuckery.
Yeah, exactly. Mind fuckery.
There's a situation that happened that made me decide that for sure. Yes. And that's like other people can be institutions as well, like individuals.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And one of the when I was sending my work to agents, which was quite all right, and I got good feedback, and that was nice. And a story that I read about a guy who'd published a best-selling book and he had an agent, and I can't remember the publisher's name, but it was a bestseller, and it was great. This man, in order to show exactly how unrealistic, I suppose, it is to give yourself any self-worth based on whether or not your book gets accepted by an agent or whatever, he pitched this best-selling book to 20 different people. Now, some of them were publishers, some of them were agents. One of them included the publisher that actually published his book as a bestseller, and he got rejected by all of them. Rejected. Every single one. This book is already a bestseller. And it's like, I could wait forever for somebody else to like it, like somebody else in a particular position. And it might hit them that day, or it might hit them the next day. And they're just like, Yeah. But it might have got them, like, and you just don't know. It's so arbitrary. And I do feel that it's all energy, like
absolutely,
all of that sort of thing. But it's really important to me to do it myself now, because I only want the book itself to please people, and if people enjoy it, then I've done my job. Like that's all that matters. That's literally it. It's so simple.
Exactly.
It's so simple, and there's no institution involved other than somebody enjoying it.
Yes.
So
and
joy
simplicity of energy and magnetism.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the fact, because to me,
when I'm hearing you speak, that's a woman who's standing in her power rather than waiting for someone to bestow the worth or the approval or the whatever, like fill in the blank here. And that is true freedom.
Constant process, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not saying one and done. Like, God, we'd be fibbing. All right, so let's draw this magical conversation to the close of introduce your beautiful book, what the book's about, how we can get our hands on it. Actually, I'm going to have to take another photo when we finish recording of you with the book so that I can share that as well.
Okay,
so you go on this process, you do the burnout, you decide you're going to write, and you say, screw it, I'm going to write for me. Like, this is what I'm meant to be doing, right? And this book comes out of you.
Yeah, the book had come out of me, but I refined it based on what agents had done. I mean, I just really worked my ass off at the craft of and bringing it to the best thing it could be, because I can't, and I learned, this is another thing coaching told me, is that if I'm not feeling so like that I can back it, including myself, like I couldn't get on, Facebook and do all those lives all the time, because I felt like a fraud. I felt like I couldn't back myself.
Yeah.
So whether or not I could have, and I just could have decided that it doesn't, whatever. So I needed to get this book to the point where I can actually hold it, and I will in a second, hold it and be like, read this. You will enjoy it.
Yes.
And it's just got all of the tiny little bits of, so I should probably say what it is. It's a young adult, like, magical realism adventure. So bad at like categorizing anything, including myself. So the back of the book reads, Olivia Jones is too impulsive for her own good, and one day it's going to bite her on the bottom. At least that's what her lovely mum always says. Olivia completely disagrees, until one Monday in October anyway, because it's one thing to sneak onto a school bus trip you've been forbidden to go on, but quite another to be kidnapped by government agents and then come face to face with true evil, especially when evil has an assistant, Olivia's lovely mum.
Ooh.
Yes.
That makes me want to read it. Where can I get my hands on a copy?
Amazon.
I love the cover too.
Yeah.
Amazon. Okay.
Amazon.
We are going to share that in the show notes. I'm a big lover of that type of book. I've actually got.
You will love it. I can tell you now, you will love it.
I'm going to get my hands on it.
So the other thing about this whole journey for me, find something that you can go, I made this, you will love it, spend your money on it, buy it, like that kind of thing. Like, and I could never do that with coaching. I couldn't. I'd be like, oh, only if you want to, like, I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's because you couldn't promise the outcomes, and I wanted to, but I am so proud of this book, and I know that people will enjoy it. People's kids and everybody. It's a rip-roaring adventure.
See, this is the energy of being unapologetic about the gift, and the result of the gift is.
And I've never felt that before about anything.
Yes, because you haven't been on the right track and the right environment doing the right stuff. And I don't mean right as in right and wrong. I mean your natural, gifted, genius, sweet spot. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Been so cool to learn your adventure. And like we said at the beginning of the interview, this is not a story about trying and failing. It's a story about trying something and learning. It's like, what's that quote about the light bulb? Is it Thomas Edison says, he tried 10,000 times or something. I'm screwing this up completely.
I didn't fail to create the light bulb 10,000
I didn't
times.
fail. I just found 9,999 ways of not creating electricity. Something like
not
that.
How to do it. How to not do it.
Exactly. Which is really what our journey through life is all about. And if we learn earlier and earlier, and we start having these conversations about it's okay to change your mind, it's okay to be proven wrong, it's okay to learn that the piece of paper won't give you the worth, and it's really, really okay to just be honest about what you've gone through, because by doing that we give other people the opportunity to learn and invitations to feel into what they really want to do. So deeply honoring you in sharing your story. As always,
it's been an honor to be heard by you, witnessed by you. Thank you.
It's so beautiful. This has been a real magical experience for me. I think this is number 15 that I'm recording, and every single story, like, you read the answers, the bits and pieces that you send through, but there's always a new depth or a new learning or a new, those golden nuggets that you just go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. It really hits home for me. And that's my deep wish, is the intention of someone to listen to these and get that, that just hit me in the middle of the forehead, like a big slap. Lovingly.
Yeah, absolutely. No matter what you're doing, if you feel that joy, it's how you're doing, whatever you're doing is how, maybe bring that into everything else. If I so this I would consider now to be my purpose, which I never knew, even though I was trying to help other people find theirs. And simply that flow feeling of joy, and how do I bring that into what I'm doing now, and trusting that that's for you.
New concept for me. Because I've definitely got a frame of you have to work hard at everything. It has to be, duty, responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And this whole concept of just following what feels good and being guided by what feels good, and knowing that, like you said before with the book, it's all an energy thing.
the energy of joy by definition is magnetic anyway. So you don't even, that's it. Like, that's as simple as it can get. And I look back on what you're talking about with the coaching industry, and I think no wonder my first business was so, like, I did some things that felt really, really good. And then when I got kind of pulled into or convinced into more business coaching, which is my professional background, it felt less and less good. And I look back and I'm like, I just put my power outside of myself again and again and again. I let other coaches convince me that the way of and it was always like, oh, the way of making more money. And I'm like, what if making more money is actually not my goal? What if actually feeling really good about what I deliver to the world and the money being the result of it, like the happy accident?
Right. And that's talked about a lot more now, like, or at least, it started to be.
Yes.
I agree. Like, there's a different, I think one thing that has always confused me and sort of held me back was that the joy is great, but there's like a deep contentment, satisfaction, pull kind of joy that's deeper, that grabs you. And I always love that feeling of, it's called eudaimonia. It's my favorite feeling. It's excited anticipation. It's like a kid on Christmas morning. What's, just before they remember it's Christmas morning, it's like, oh, something really amazing is going to happen today. What is it?
Yes.
That's sort of traditional, like,
I get what you're saying.
That feeling, like, before you even remember why. But I love that feeling. And I love that feeling when I'm writing. But that's not the feeling of that deep centered, like, joy, which is like,
I get what you're saying.
But that confused me for the longest time, is that I could be very serious, but still feel like I was in the right spot and not realize that is also joyful. Like,
absolutely.
So,
contentment's one of my key, like, when I think about how I want to feel, like, grounded, joyful, absolutely,
free, absolutely, always been two of my guiding words. Content is often one of the ones that comes top of mind, because I have those, and particularly actually more so living in the country, like, I have that in, like, my husband's a mad king gardener. I take no credit whatsoever, but I go outside and, like, my mulberry tree's full of mulberries at the moment. And I'm like, oh, is this not the most divine, deep, like, well of, like, a bay of plenty contentment that I get, which is that, overwhelming gratitude and just, that deep satisfaction. To me, that's, like, joy is beautiful, but I find that joy is shorter lived than that deep, the thing that rises from the very bones of you. That I agree. That's that delicious.
When I used to hear joy and, like, feeling it, and there's a lot of the Abraham Hicks kind of stuff, like, like feeling joy, feeling upbeat and everything. And I think that that's not the guiding light feeling of joy. Like, that feeling is much deeper. And I wish I'd known that, but I know it now. So there you go.
And trust the timing. I always will say that as a coach, a friend, a mum, whatever. Trust the timing. Things unfold as they're meant to. And the journey is always like the little breadcrumbs.
So, which is exactly what you've shared. Like, there's the windy road, but it's really back to all the things that you loved as a kid, because that's what your purpose is. So thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. You reminded me to just also, like, to be excited about the next step and the next step. Sometimes I forget. Like, I'm like, I know what I'm going to do next. I'm not, and it's sort of like a bit of a drudgery at times, but ultimately I'm on my way now. Like, this is what I'm doing the right thing. It doesn't even matter. Like, yes, of course it would be wonderful to make, loads of money. Of course. But it is definitely far more deep than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that deep satisfaction? I think that's the other, satisfaction and contentment to me. Like, I want to, because I've had, my dad passed away at 91, and, we had conversations when he was, he was palliating for about 8 weeks. And one of the conversations that we had in many different ways was, I'm like, do you, like, how do you feel about your life? Like, and he's like, the things that matter to me is that deep connection with the people that I love, experiences, and that sense of satisfaction that comes from doing something that you're meant to do.
I'm like, yeah, if I can arrive at my whenever that is,
Yep.
not early and not on a motorbike, just putting that out there, then yeah, job done.
Yep.
Like, yeah, a life well lived.
It's like it's a sense of completeness, isn't it, in the moment?
Thank you so much.
Hello there, beautiful. Kylie here. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode. I have some great news for you. I have a podcast home now. So you'll find everything about our new episodes, key takeaways, and events coming up at www.kyliepatchett.com.au. Patchett is Patchet. Now, one of the things that I'm noticing in all of these stories is that there's common threads about being able to access our deepest truth in times of midlife metamorphosis. These threads include healing stories about self-abandonment, trauma, leaky boundaries, childhood conditioning, learning to dissolve fear and self-doubt and not enoughness, and making other people's needs more important than our own. And finally, learning how to nourish ourselves. So actually understanding how to connect to our heart and understand what it is that we want from our life. How do we want to feel? Who do we want to be in relationship with? Who is better off actually being outside of our boundaries these days? Ultimately, this journey through midlife metamorphosis is all about coming home to our magic and our power and our magnificence and our dreams and desires. And that is why I'm super excited to share with you that we have a 3-day Midlife Magic Masterclass series coming. It's called Coming Home, and it's across the 3 evenings because holy moly, when I started pouring this out of my soul, there was so much that I couldn't possibly cover it in one night. My plan is to have it super, super interactive. So it's not just going to be slides and me talking over them. Boring. It's actually going to be me asking you questions, having you do journal prompts, settling into your heart. We'll be doing some breath and some yoga, and we'll be using those tools to really get clear on what it is that you want, how you're actually getting in your own way, and setting you free to freaking create it. I've got 33 seats that are free. About half of them are taken already, so about 15 more seats to go. And you will find the registration page now at my new online home, which is kyliepatchett.com.au. Love to see you there. It's going to be absolutely groundbreaking, and yeah, for usually a coaching session, even a group coaching session with me for 4.5 hours, that's a lot of cash. And this time I just want to open up our community and interact with you in real time, because your response to this podcast has been breathtaking. And I'm so pleased that these stories are resonating. And I know deep in my soul, the reason they're resonating is because you see yourself in all of these other amazing women. So just know that if they can overcome fear, if they can heal old conditioning, if they can learn to connect with their own needs, you can too. Join me for Coming Home, November 15th to 17th. If you can't make it live, that's totally fine, although it's going to be way better if you can. If you can't make it live, we will be putting replays out each day, and I can't wait to see you there. So yeah, kyliepatchett.com.au. Yay! Have a great day, everyone. Bye.